Welcome to the Anthology training series. In this video, I will go through the physical inventory module covering all of the basics. This will be a fairly quick video, just covering the basic process of how the physical inventory is created, how to enter your counts, the differences between editing by exception versus not, and a few things you will need to know when using the Anthology physical inventory scanners. There are two major questions you will need to know before proceeding with a physical inventory. The first is this going to be a full or partial inventory? Are you counting everything in the store or just one or two sections? Most stores will do a partial physical inventory mid-year. However, a full physical inventory is usually done in the first quarter of any year. And the second question is are you going to be using rented scanners from Anthology? Are you going to want to scan each item to verify count? Or are you going to hand count your inventory without the aid of scanners? Knowing the answer to the previous questions will assist in creating the right physical inventory for your store. Let's get started creating and completing your physical inventory. The first thing you'll need to do is open the sales dropdown and select physical inventory. Here you will see any outstanding physical inventories. Go ahead and click F4 to create a new physical inventory. There will be a few prompts which you will need to answer questions relating to your physical inventory. First, you'll want to set a name for your physical inventory. This is pretty straightforward. We recommend giving it a name such as full PI-year. So a full physical inventory for 2015 would be full PI-2015. Next, we're going to choose whether or not this is a partial or full. If this is your end of year physical inventory, you're most likely doing a full physical inventory. The next question is probably the most important. Are you editing by exception? The prompt here will give you a pretty thorough explanation of what the differences are, but the rule of thumb is if you are using the scanners, you are not editing by exception. If you are hand counting without scanners, you are editing by exceptions. If you choose yes to edit by exception, Anthology will assume the inventory is correct. Then when you find item counts that are wrong, you edit those exceptions. If you create a physical inventory editing by exception and immediately post that physical inventory, your inventory counts would all show as unchanged. If you choose no, do not edit by exception, Anthology will assume that the inventory is incorrect and will, for the physical inventory, revert the on-hand quantities, henceforth during the PI referred to as count quantities, to 0. Then as you scan product in, it will replace those zeros with your counts. If you create a physical inventory not editing by exception and immediately post it, your on-hand quantities would all be zeros. Note, it is very important to choose this option if you are using scanners. That is no, not editing by exception. Once all these options are set, go ahead and click Finish. Once you click Finish, the following process can take a while since it is gathering all of your inventory into one report. Once the physical inventory is created, be sure to press F10 to save the initial physical inventory. Anthology will not permit you to make any other changes until you do your initial save. Now, if you are using the rented scanners, you can now enter the information under the Actions menu. First, follow the instructions in the email that we sent you on how to install the scanner software. You will also need the code that was contained within the same email. Next, go to Actions and enter Review Licensing. If you already entered a code or have a persistent code from Anthology, it will show a valid until date. If not, enter the code in the Enter New Code Here box. Next, let's specify the scanners. Under Actions, select Specify Scanners. We use the symbol CS1504 for the current Anthology scanner. Please note that the scanner specified here is different than the hardware we send you, which is an Opticon 2001. Without going into too much technical, the symbol CS1504 is more in reference of how the scanners communicate with the program rather than the description of the hardware that we use. If you are not using the scanners and are editing by exceptions, you will need to print out the inventory so you can give the sheets to your staff to use for hand counting. To do this, select F11 Print, then select Physical Inventory Report. We recommend doing this by section so as not to get too overwhelmed. One report for each section, sorting by department. However, you can sort and print any way that works for your store. Next, count and scan everything in your store. This is the time-consuming part. If you are using the scanners, make certain the scanners are fully charged before starting this process. With scanners, we recommend posting batches after every 500 to 1,000 scans. The scanners can hold a lot more than 1,000 records, but this ensures there is no data loss with large dumps. Plug the scanner into the inventory machine and use Alt F6 to get data. This will create a batch of all the items that you scanned. Continue doing this until everything in your store is scanned and batched into Anthology. If you are not using the scanners, mark on the printed sheets the count quantities, noting where the count is different than expected. We recommend using highlighters for this. Once you have counted everything, you will need to modify the count quantities for the exceptions in the physical inventory. To do this, simply use F8 to find line, type in the SKU or ISBN which will locate the record, edit the count quantity, being sure to click Enter Line or press Enter between each edit, and being certain to use F10 to save often. Once you have sufficiently scanned, counted, and marked your items, you are ready to print an exceptions report. To do this, simply select F11 Print, then instead of printing a physical inventory report, you will select Exceptions Report. This will print only the items whose count quantity different than what was expected, your current on-hand quantity. Use this to audit counts and verify that the counted quantities are true and correct as far as you can tell. This is your opportunity to make adjustments if there are some items that are way out of the park. You can go back and recount those items. Once you make your adjustments audits, it is time to finalize your inventory. First, when you finalize your inventory, you're going to want to make a backup. First, save your inventory. Next, we're going to make a backup. This gives us a fallback point in the event that something goes amiss. Close the physical inventory window and any other windows that you might have open. Go to Tools, Quick Backup. Check the box for Copy Open Files, then click F12 to run. Wait for this to complete. This can take up to 10 minutes to complete, so just please don't mess with it while it's running. Next, reopen the physical inventory and go to the Details tab on the PI you have been working on. If you are sure you have made all your adjustments and counted everything in this, as far as you know, go ahead and press Alt F12 to adjust inventory. This process will take some time as it goes through and edits on-hand quantities of all the items in your store. You will also not be able to make any changes to your physical inventory after Alt F12 is prepped, as it is finalizing your inventory. And that's it. That is the basics of doing a physical inventory. Thank you for watching this quick intro into physical inventories. There's a lot more to this in terms of nuance and function, however this should get you into your inventory pretty well. Please, if you would like to know more, click on the annotations in the video or in the links below to go to our playlist on physical inventories, as well as our knowledge base articles on the subject of physical inventories. Thanks again for watching.